Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, February the 7th. My friend JOAN STACK is with us from the State Historical Society. And we've been doing features in February on Black History Month. I know the theme at the university is the Black Vote this year, right? And you actually are picking up on that theme also with our segment today.
That's right. We have an exhibition, and it is in Ellis Library. We have our new building, but we like to do a show at Ellis Library for every Black History Month. So I want to encourage people to come over and see the cases on Ellis Library on that first floor in that big open room, the colonnade, they call it.
Now, when will this show be up?
It is up now. It opened on February 1st.
Okay.
So,
and will it run all through Black History Month?
Black History Month and beyond. We're going to close it in May, so you'll have lots of opportunities to see it.
Now, you brought along several pictures. Is this 1962?
That one's 1960, I believe. But let me check. Does it say 62?
62.
Oh, okay. Yes. So this one is
1962.
And what the exhibition is made up of editorial cartoons, mostly from our collection, and the editorial cartoons chronicle the history of Black voting rights through the eyes of these cartoonists throughout the nation.
So for people listening on the radio, this picture we have right now, this cartoon.
Yeah, this is a cartoon by Frank Interlandi, who was the cartoonist for the Des Moines Register in Iowa, so not too far from Missouri. And the cartoon is interesting because it's not really cartoony in style. He is working in a very realistic style. It's expressionist but realistic. He was a fine artist, and this one shows you how beautiful editorial cartoons can be. Mm-hmm. It shows two women of color who are sitting on a stoop in an urban area, and then underneath the cartoon is we don't have it's not in the drawing, but underneath the cartoon were the words, "When you accepted that one-way bus ride north, you must have known you'd find discrimination up here. If it's any consolation, at least now you can vote." So this, I think, is a really interesting cartoon because it encourages the viewer to imagine themselves in the shoes of one of these women who is disappointed. She's come up north and she's still she finds prejudice. But it's also a reminder of the removal of these people's right to vote in the South. So it both criticizes the North and the South in an interesting way.
Now, this next one you have,
yes,
this is pretty powerful.
Yeah, this is by Bert Whitman, and it's called American Tragedy, and it was published in the Stockton Record in California. Now, we weren't able to identify the exact date of the cartoon, but we think it was sometime between 1962 and 1964, because you see an image of an African American in a whirlpool, and he's being pulled down by a stone which is labeled the poll tax. And the poll tax was a way in which, in the South especially, the officials suppressed the Black vote. You were required to pay money in order to vote. And under the Kennedy administration, there was an attempt to change those things, not through a law, but through a constitutional amendment, the 24th Amendment. And a lot of people don't remember the 24th Amendment, but the 24th Amendment outlawed poll taxes. And it was passed by Congress in 1962, and it was ratified by the states in 1964.
So you're saying up until 1962, some of the states in the South still charged a poll tax for people to vote?
Yeah, and not in 62 it passed Congress. Then it had all the states had to ratify it. And I think the Kennedy administration thought, well, we're never going to get it ratified in the South, but it won't matter. It'll be a constitutional amendment. We'll get enough states to ratify it. And he was correct, because it was ratified in 1964.
So in 1964, the poll tax was abolished.
That's right.
Okay. Now, this one, I would imagine, is probably the strongest editorial cartoon.
This one is also the one that reminds us that some of these problems with voting rights for African Americans continue. And in our exhibition, we kind of begin in the early years, and then we cover the 60s, the turbulent years when all the laws were passed. And then finally, we get to our final case in which we remind viewers that the struggle continues. And this image is in reference to the attempt of David Duke, who had been Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan, to win a seat in Congress. And it's hard to imagine that in 1990, somebody who had been the Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan would run for Congress. But he was running. He's still out there. I mean, he has endorsed candidates. So David Duke is somebody who we should still keep an eye on and what he's doing.
And when was this cartoon in?
This was published in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch in 1990, and I liked the title of it especially. It shows, of course, a Ku Klux Klan robe, and the election results have been announced, and the Ku Klux Klan robe has been abandoned. Yeah. And the idea, David Duke lost that time, but the subtitle of the cartoon was "Down but Not Out." So, and the Ku Klux Klan robes are labeled racism. So, yes, David Duke lost, but the very fact that he was running is a reminder that we do not have equal civil rights in this country. And of course, I don't have any contemporary cartoons dealing with current issues of African American voting rights, but we'll definitely mention it in the text that this struggle is not over. Now we have different types of stealth racism. We had the poll tax back before 1964, but today we have other ways of suppressing the black vote, gerrymandering, all kinds of different things. They're still happening,
right,
especially in southern states, but all over the United States.
Well, when you look at some of the gerrymandering, some of the gerrymandering that's drawn is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's right.
It's almost comical, but it's not comical.
Yeah.
And that is one way that people are trying to suppress voting.
Yeah. So it's interesting all the different techniques that people have come up with in order to suppress the vote. I know Stacey Abrams, she ran for governor. That's right. But she was better known by the people of Georgia as a voting rights advocate.
Yeah.
And she, I think, continues to do that, looking for different ways that the vote has been suppressed in these areas by often these petty officials who are sometimes very racist people.
Joan, thank you so much for coming by today. And if people want to see this, it will be up through the entire month of February and beyond.
Okay,
right?
Thanks.
State Historical Society, JOAN STACK, and your hours are?
Oh, well, we are open. We are not open on Monday, but on weekdays we are open 9 to 4:30, and on Saturdays 9 to 3.
Okay, appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
JOAN STACK. She's a walking encyclopedia. PepperPMissouri.edu. Bye-bye.